All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Shinsekai Yori, episode 9. Love is in the air, and, well, Shun's going away.
Yeah. And they're all getting good enough to where they're just floating in the air, too.
Yes, indeed. Right, because, 2 years is a long time when, you're young and everything, and, they keep training with their powers and stuff. But I get the feeling that everything's about to go real bad.
Yeah, Shun was noticed, finally, and
not necessarily in a good way.
He's being taken away. This is very odd because the two kind of situations we have are kid is being problematic.
Yeah.
They're getting taken away. Well,
Okay.
Shun was in the problematic crew, but they either
didn't take him
waited
away.
or they are doing this now as to have this be we're going to start taking them all away, but we need to do it one at a time and slowly and have other reasons for it. And
if it was just Shun being taken away, I actually wouldn't be that concerned.
Right.
Because I would think that he would be being trained, special advanced classes or something like that, right? But it was the going away scene where he's saying goodbye and he gives our main girl the necklace and everything where I'm like,
and watch after the dog for me.
Yeah, exactly. This will keep cats away. I'm like, what do you know? What is gonna happen here? But
so, all right, let's get right into this. All right, everyone. Now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below. Then come back here for the discussion. Hey, this was a really intense, good episode.
Yes, and a lot of stuff happened here.
Yeah.
So,
all right, so they had a meeting. They had a meeting.
Yeah, they had a meeting, and it's like, hey, do we go after Shun? Awesome. Like that.
We should investigate a little bit.
Yep, exactly. And that I would say is like the normal response that even the society that they're in would probably be able to expect. That hey,
people are curious.
Yeah, people are curious. They're kids. They're concerned about their friend. Want to make sure that everything's okay.
Yeah. So they put up yellow and black, little cloth around to be like, okay, this is not allowed. Don't go through here. Yeah.
Yep. But this was a big deal. This was not just a standard like, oh hey, advanced classes, we're just going to take you under our wing and make sure that you have the proper education to take care of the situation. No, in a lot of ways, this feels like I'm starting to get a better sense for what kind of tone and pacing the show wants to take.
Yeah,
because it's the no. We set up the karmic demons. That is happening. Shun probably turned into a karmic demon. So this is the situation, right? It's not the like we're going to the extreme example of the thing that was established before that could happen. It happened.
Yeah.
And so okay, the story now goes in this different direction because of it. Awesome.
Yep.
But his home was gone. A giant crater where it used to be, and everyone from his village was disappeared. Holy shit.
Yeah. These are very, very eerie setups that we are now kind of needing to
readjust our perspective and
perceptions
on the society because
they're all subservient.
Right.
This is something that I think I kind of understood, but I didn't think I really got until this episode, was that the parents were obviously scared of the rules being absolute, and if the kids break the rules, then you have to be careful of the the impure.
We don't
want
to lose any more kids.
We don't lose any more kids. So there's some shit that they've gone through, but they are now in a place of equilibrium with society.
They figured out a status quo. Yeah.
No, they have not.
No,
they have not.
Right.
They are in fear. They are in terror of society because it is not. The decisions are not being made by them. All the way down to the idea of basic electricity that they could use to make their eyesight a little bit better when they're working in the library.
Get some electric lamps.
It's a nice subtle little thing of being like, no, your decisions don't matter. You are not actually here to make any kind of change. There is another layer above the adults that is making the actual decisions.
Right. It was a very, I don't know if it was intended to be this way, but I like to think it was, in that the parents are like, okay, honey, so how are we going to handle this?
Right.
All right, we're gonna just do regular chit chat. We're going to talk about work.
Talk about work. Yep.
But we are going to also bring up some of the little
she
things.
does.
Well, no, right, but we're going to bring up some little things that are essentially reminders of how this works. That there are rules that we do not get to choose.
Yeah.
And we can't go against them. Those exist and they are absolute, right? If it's the, we can't use electricity for anything
Only
other than
used for
broadcasts.
broadcasts. Yeah.
Darn, that sucks. It would be really nice to have electricity to have lights on and stuff, but
Yeah.
I guess that's how it is, right? It's showcasing to Saki, this is how it works. This is how you survive. This is how you function as an adult in this world.
Yeah.
Even if the rules are uncomfortable, you go along with it.
Yeah.
Because that's what you got to do, right? And then once Saki addresses the elephant in the room, right? Then
Mom's scared. Dad gets grim.
Right.
And then he's like, Saki, no. Sa-chan, listen to me.
Yeah.
And he
whispers.
voice.
Right.
He calls her like her kid name.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was something that I thought
I loved that.
That was wonderful because it in a very short amount of time communicates what the situation of this world is, because it's been a lot of mystery up until now. And that's great. We love mystery, right? It's been a good mystery. But now as it's going on a bit more, even though we still don't know the details, we know what the emotional context is for these parents, right?
Right.
This is not a situation. At first I thought it was going to be something where it's the, hey, honey, so you're getting a bit older now. We can start to trust you a bit more. There are some conversations that we need to have.
We can't have all of them right now.
We can't have all of them right now.
We can start preparing you for them.
But it is important that you learn this stuff.
Yeah, it's a coming of age story ultimately.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then that maybe it would be something of Shun is going away. You're like, you aren't going to be able to see him again, but not necessarily in an ominous way, but in like there's sometimes this happens, right? And then and this is what's best for everybody. He's safe, he's okay. But
and we did not go that direction.
But no, it did not go that direction,
he
right?
went very much into you need to be very careful.
Right.
This is something that could happen to, by the way he's inferring this could happen to any one of us.
Right.
And the only reason why it maybe hasn't happened to any of, them, the parents, is because they know what happens. They know the details of some of it.
Right.
And they're able to be like, no, we're very scared. And not only that, we have lost multiple kids.
Yeah.
And the idea that we knew that she's lost at least one other kid was something that was established a long time ago. But because of the idea of it being set up alongside of the trickster or impure cat, the idea that was kind of maybe a supernatural thing that could like lead kids, away from the path of following the rules or something.
Exactly. There were suspicions that it could have been the society, but no hard confirmation that it would have been the society.
Right, but now with what happens at the school, with the kids that just end up not coming back, now with a whole village disappearing, no, it's very much the society as it is taking these kids away.
And this
things.
feels much more dystopian and desperate than I originally would have thought for this society.
Right.
Because of the things that we had seen with regards to how the society came about, I was like, okay, I kind of get it. It's overly strict, but it's overly strict for a very specific purpose. Right.
And now we have to think about that as no, wait a minute. They got the actual hard data from the creature, right?
Yep.
But
they weren't disappeared.
Which
is very telling. If you have something where they weren't disappeared when they get the hard data, okay, that shows a very understanding but strict society. When you get something where something bad happens, Shun turns into a karmic demon or whatever, everyone from his village is disappeared. It's not just something where like the whole village was wiped out and so they're all gone. Even the people that were from that village but weren't there anymore aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
they crossed one line, and it was they were probably being watched for those 2 years because of that.
Right.
During that time, and then a little bit of the parts that we saw on screen, Shun gave them a reason, probably because they forcibly tested him to see how good he was as a prodigy, and there were some things that caused them to do this,
and that's what surprised me so much because with the previous episode, I thought it was just a thing of hey, you passed the test, you're in maybe a bit of rocky territory, but yeah, advanced classes because again, this was something that they kind of instigated, right? If this happens as a result of something the society does, since this is a society that has lasted for, up until now, you can kind of assume that the consequences of the things that they do will be things that they have seen before, right? If you put a kid under pressure of advanced classes, yeah, he might the stress might get to him a bit, but like if it's something that is cataclysmic in potential nature,
but that's the thing. We're making so many assumptions here.
Sure.
There's so many assumptions being made. And one of my main ones here is that this is something that is even remotely related to his actual psychic ability. It might have nothing to do with that. It might entirely be a thing of where no. We were reading his heart, like where he was thinking and feeling about of this whole situation.
Sure, because of the whole romantic chaos and stuff that was happening.
Or not even that, just the idea of what he experienced when they left. And it just finally started to coalesce into something that they're like, not worth it. Not worth the risk.
Sure.
Let's just kill him. So let's get into the whole idea of what they saw. Maria and dang it, I keep
Saki?
forgetting. No.
Oh, Mamoru.
Mamoru, thank you.
Because we had two completely different interpretations of what happened.
Completely different interpretations.
And it didn't even occur to us the interpretation that the other person had.
Well, I kind of thought about it, but immediately threw it out once they were like, "Oh, it's too bad."
Yours is definitely more interesting, I would say.
Okay.
Because it's got more chaos factor and weird territory.
Well, I feel like it also fits a little bit more with the idea of how a lot of these types of stories usually punish children. Is that you turn the children into little monsters, basically.
Right.
And that's what I thought the monster rats were, honestly.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. And yet I still think the monster rats are originally human, but it's more that they're
that was
old
hundreds of years
humans.
ago.
Yeah, that's why they're so devolved, basically.
Exactly, and why they have this whole separate society. That's,
that's been going on for hundreds of years.
Right.
But this is basically the new iteration of what kids are turned into. And that's why they have these barrels and stuff right next to school grounds. Meaning, in some ways, they're not worried at all about the possibility of the courtyard being seen in such a way, because it's no. We need the convenience of being able to have these things where we can stuff a kid in here really quick and just we don't need to worry now.
And the
process has started. They cannot get out.
Right, they're sealed and taken care of so that there's no immediate problem.
Right,
because the death of shame is a very tough mechanical thing to work around.
I love the death of shame. It's such a cool world building thing.
It's absolutely fantastic as far as making there be this cat and mouse situation of the main characters being kids and all of that stuff and causing trouble.
The power can and can't be used.
Exactly, because because otherwise, if you're a situation like that where it's yes, you're going around school and doing stuff, why doesn't the teacher just that's doing some evil thing just get rid of you, right?
Right.
Well, this is why.
It's probably because they believe so much in why the death of shame is so important. We won't have war or any kind of evil, horrific things happen because, nobody is empowered to use it maliciously.
Right. So
unless they just are and they don't care and that they become a karmic demon maybe or something.
Right. And so the interpretation that you had of that scene is that Shun
was transformed.
Was transformed into that
along with everybody in the village. I think.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
and that's how you perfectly don't have to worry about bodies or the death of shame or anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then basically you just have these creatures that can be out past the sacred barriers that are very much don't go wandering outside the village. There's spooky things out there, and they are. And they are the redistributed, bad people that we didn't want to deal with because we can't literally deal with them.
Oh yeah, that has such wonderfully creepy Hansel and Gretel kind of vibes to it that I love it.
It also reminds me a little bit of not Pinocchio. Well, it is kind of Pinocchio.
Oh yeah, with the kids going to Pleasure Island and all that stuff, and turning into jackasses and whatnot. Yeah.
But the reason why I think Jacob's theory could work is because that would involve power being used on people.
Right.
But so maybe okay. So go ahead.
So my theory is that the creature there is the whatever cat,
It's
thing.
a trickster cat.
Yeah, trickster cat. And that those are basically the proxy agents that they use to kill people that need to be killed so that they don't actually cause the death of shame, right? Because you just make something else that does your dirty work for you. And then the reason that they have the people that are super strong and stuff, like the one dude that tried to grab them, is so that they can basically seal them away, right? Make it so that they can't use their powers, keep them under control, and then the executioner animal comes in and then does away with them.
Right.
Now,
The reason why
potential problems with that theory that come to mind is, what do you do if you have to disappear an entire frickin' village, right?
that just doesn't fit.
That takes a long time to do, right?
Well, also, it's the kind of thing where, personally, I don't see how you could have basically that happen without power being used on some level. And then it's okay, you can't use power offensively on a person, so...
Well, you can't kill people,
Well...
right? Or maybe even bring physical harm to them. But like...
Right. But all it would take then is just to put up a barrier to try and resist.
Sure.
See, people, this is the thing that I have as like a very hard line that in my mind I think the world is trying to establish. One person can basically put up the fuck off barrier, and then no one can harm them. Because in order to harm them, they would need to break through their barrier, basically. To basically be like, stop. So someone could use power to protect themselves against someone that's not caring about the death of shame, basically.
Sure, but if
and
it
then
was...
the only way that they would be able to break through that is to then force themselves through the process of the death of shame. That would weaken them physically as they tried to do it, and then the person would be fine and they'd get away.
But what if it was something where instead they weren't trying to harm the person, they just cast hold person,
Or just
like,
cast sleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's absolutely on the table. We have much precedent, I would say, to have that be possible.
Right,
except
things like
through
them
all
doing the things to seal away the powers and stuff.
Right, except that there's so much indirection they do for the purpose, I think, of keeping everything stable that they don't want to start an incident where one person could just run away and be like, God, this shit's going down, It has to be a perfect system where it's nope.
Well, right, and that's why this is something that I'm very curious to see how it goes in future episodes, because my understanding of the society until now is that there would be the things where they'd have to sweep things under the rug, but it was more the exception rather than the rule.
Right.
And because of that, they would be very careful and sort of sterile with it, right?
Sure.
And so it would keep things clean. And maybe sometimes you do have students transferring to other schools or whatever, right? And that's just sort of something that happens, right?
Ooh, another thing to add to your theory, the barrel that they go to has a cat eye of sorts on it. It looks kind of like a cat eye.
Okay.
So maybe that's just another kind of point to it.
Well,
the one thing where I would say that it's probably not, though, is that if we go back to episode 1, I think it is, when they show the cat, haunting her, it's it doesn't look anything like...
Yeah, I didn't... This was a lot bigger than I expected.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's an entirely different creature.
But, maybe we just didn't get we didn't get that good of a look of it, because I want to say it might have even just been a shadow or something. But what I was really curious about then...
Yeah, it looks like a house cat.
Is if it's something where Shun was turned into this creature, why would they let it out? What is the purpose then for these things, right? Because if you can take problematic children and then turn them into creatures where then suddenly they're not a problem anymore because they're a creature, right?
Yeah.
And you can lock them away or whatever, then what would you actually use these animals for? Other than maybe to be something that goes bump in the night or is a spy or something like that, right? But if you have figured out a way to bypass the death of shame because you're not actually killing the people, right? But you yourself are able to directly do it with your own power, right? I mean, maybe
it is the same. I'm looking at the little glimpse we get of the thing here.
Yeah, maybe it is the same. Although at the same time, they mentioned
that face though, man.
Yeah.
It very much does not look like just a cat.
Oh no, totally.
It looks like a person.
This cat was definitely made with psychic abilities. in both of our theories, right? It's just a question of whether it was made
Originally
from nothing
human.
or a mutated animal versus a human or something like that, right?
Right. In the world where we have exploding bomb things,
Right.
animals. Yes, an animal can be anything in this world because psychics can fuck with it and play God.
With enough centuries of mutation and fuckery and all that stuff.
or just how powerful the psychics can
Right.
be.
Yeah, we had it established in the previous episode that the strongest among them apparently could split the world in half if he wanted to. So, okay, right. So, yeah. And the thing is that she went out by herself here. Which, okay, maybe Maria is getting the other.
He's getting
two,
everybody
right?
else. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. For as powerful as the psychic abilities are in this universe, I like that there are some very specific limitations. They can't send psychic long-range telepathic messages. They need an actual person, with a flashlight by a line that's going over the river rather than
And
psychic awareness or whatever.
yeah, and to bring something very dark into this here, but I think it's actually worthwhile at this point. Let's go and look at hierarchy here really quick.
Sure.
Monster rats.
Yep.
They're the bottom of the semi-sentient food chain right now.
All right.
There is nothing lower
That
in
is
the
sentient,
society that
that
is
we know of.
sentient that we know of. Yes.
Right.
The next thing above that are the kids.
Yes.
Now, the kids have their own hierarchy in that there are some that are bad kids and they get sent away. We don't know what happens to them, but that's one thing there. Then we have kids that are good, but then we also have the fact that they're testing kids to see, how good they are at psychic abilities. So there could be some internal hierarchy that the kids don't know about yet as to why there's that going on there. Now, we had in this episode, I'd say firmly established that the parents are not the highest bit on the hierarchy, but they are next.
Yep.
They are above the kids.
Right.
But then, this is the part where things get a little bit freaky. I think there's at least 2 more steps on the hierarchy here. The next one is the fact that there are people that are involved in the villages and stuff that are managing society, but they make more decisions than parents do, for instance. Or at the very least, Saki's parents.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, this person with the flashlight by the river actually is kind of maybe a perfect example of that because they're using mundane means to do this kind of stuff.
Which means they are probably basically on the same level as Saki's parents.
Right, exactly. They just have a different job. They have a job that gives them a bit more information and is a bit more important maybe, right? Okay, cool. Sure.
But what's the next step above that?
I would say it's the enforcer dude, that came after them that one time.
But think about that. That dude is very different from the guy that came to come pick up Shun.
Yes. No, totally. Well, yeah.
Which speaks of a whole other society that's above this.
If you go...
Making these villages feel way more like prisons, if you will.
So if you go... So if we're going past the parents, right? There's the people that have the flashlights by the river, right? There's the people that are we go out and we do the enforcement. The militarized kind of, psychics, right? Okay, cool. And for that, there could be the guy that went out to bring them back, and there could be the guy that could split the world in half. All right, cool. That's its own thing. But then there's the people that make the rules. And I don't think this is the kind of society where the people that have the strongest psychic abilities make the rules. I don't think that's how this works, right? Yeah. Everything with how it's set up is very much to keep psychic abilities under control and suppressed, right? So that's its whole thing. The old guys that did the fire, ceremony and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
That feels more like of what the top of the food chain is in this type of situation. But knowing that, I'm not sure what that means necessarily.
Oh, I have a very specific thing. I'm just trying to be sensitive and pointing it out, basically.
Yeah. What do you think?
Is that I feel like prisoners are being used to guard prisoners here.
Okay, makes sense.
I feel like these villages are actually closer to prisons now. And and I'm gonna go back to an old theory that I had earlier that these are farms. These are places where there is a higher society that is trying to cultivate psychics, and you can get very close to a certain ideology where it's we want to create the perfect humans.
Totally.
And you see where I'm going with this, right?
And one of the things that this episode, it shined a light on this, I guess, but it's not like it was necessarily anything new.
Sure.
Given that Saki was the last person to graduate from her school, and yet she's like, wait a minute, there are a lot of people from my school that I don't see here.
Nope.
Anytime you get into a dystopian society, you got to ask the question of, can this society last? Right? Can this society have actually existed for the 500 years or whatever that it's allegedly been around? Mm-hmm. If you have situations where more than half of the next generation is doesn't survive, I'm pretty sure that means you've got a dwindling society. Like
but that's the thing. That's the thing. Either that or this little
that actually
picture.
Isn't true, by the way, not necessarily. But
yeah, I was gonna.
But with the amount of kids,
Right. I was bringing up more the idea that like we were told in this episode that there are tons of villages.
Right.
This one village with this one little class or what have you, it's not a lot of people.
Sure.
It's not actually necessarily even that important.
So
it's just one of many, meaning that there could be like a kingdom, a full-on empire, if you will, of psychics that are very much running this whole thing. And this is just one little colony, one little group here.
And they keep it small scale so that way if there is a problem.
It's easily managed, and if they need to, they can snap their fingers and it's all gone.
And then because it's a small village and everything, it's also not that big of a deal if the village disappears.
Right. Because scale-wise, it's...
Because then they just start a new one or whatever.
Yep.
I think that works very well with the trying to farm and harvest powerful psychics that are under our control,
Right.
Because then, yeah, if you lose a village but you get, 2 or 3
really good psychics,
that's a good deal. Win-win,
Right.
But if it's like in the prisoner type situation, you have to have the other self-perpetuating society that's completely separate from the prisoners, right? Like in Promised Neverland or something like that. You need to have the demons, the aliens, the monsters or whatever that are out there in addition to the, the farms and things.
Yeah.
If this is just an internment camp or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where is the other stuff?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter?
We have god-level psychics potentially out there. They could be anywhere.
Sure, they could be
literally does not matter.
Feet underground. They could be in the sky. They could be
in a
wherever.
floating city somewhere. It literally doesn't matter. The point is that if we have that kind of disparity and power here, these people here in this colony or this village or what have you do not matter.
Sure, but like, and maybe this is getting totally off base from the show and everything.
We might be, yeah.
Yeah, but like, even in the situation where you have like the god emperors, before in this world, right?
That was a thing. They still do need to have the people that are their subjects in order to prop them up so that they can have managing themselves. In this perfect society, the subjects are literally choked by their own rules and stuff that they apparently don't have the makings of. But this teacher here, the guy that came in all cloaked and all like, I am a Sith Lord kind of thing, and looks at Shun and is like, leaves, then the whole village disappears.
So maybe it's the
management is here. Hello.
But maybe it's the good ones essentially, the teachers and all that are then the equivalent of the subjects from the God King era that then prop up and make the life cushy for the people they're ruling. Because like if you
sorry to interrupt.
Because if you have absolute power and you're a dictator or whatever, and your subjects can die on your whim or whatever, that's fine. But if they can't like make you fluffy pillows and and a nice house and all that stuff, what's the point?
Well, but that's the thing. This is this world. This is why I'm maybe a bit too hard on this like kind of theory here. But this world is way more cultish in the way its society is set up than I think we give it credit for.
Sure.
There are people here that believe in this. You can tell. They believe this is the only way that humanity will survive. Otherwise, we'll all kill each other.
Sure.
We need to be unified. It's literally the unified school or whatever.
Right.
They need to be on the same pathway. Otherwise, dissidents or problematic children will just get too powerful to the point where we could actually ruin what we have. So they believe, almost with like a fervor, I think that's my perspective, is that this needs to be the system that we do because we have history. We all see what happened when psychic power was rampant. We need to have very stringent, strict rules, and that fits for the coming-of-age story where the children basically upset the established order to transform it into something where
it's
kids
the next
like
iteration.
Kids like them can have it better in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, they will be adults eventually, but hopefully they won't be these adults. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And that process will be a struggle, and that's why we're telling this story. But I definitely feel like to bring things back grounded to the episode.
Right,
here,
right.
The idea of this being either an execution or an example of how terrifying psychic ability can be when used without ethics or rules or what have you. Will probably lead to reveal. Because that's what this episode feels like. It's get ready for the cascade of reveals where it's all one reveal every episode of how fucked up this whole society is, you know?
Right, because the bit from the end of this episode that still perplexes me is the fact that Saki came here by herself. The people in the society wouldn't necessarily have known that. Theoretically, they could have, but okay. This cat is here, and it seems to be unattended. Whether it's Shun, or whether it's an executioner cat, or whatever. Why is it here? Why is it important that it ran into her? What is it going to try to do? What's the deal? Because theoretically, they shouldn't even have known that she was going to be here. So if this cat is here, it was here with some other purpose, regardless of what its origin is, you know. But why?
Thought, potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why there was a sacred barrier put up, is that they unleashed a whole bunch of these things in here, or they are the villagers or what have you, and it's this barrier here is to tell kids and other people in the society, don't go this way, but the barrier inside is to keep them from coming back towards us, and it's
it did very much feel like
it's the kind of thing where they don't care if there's one out there, because it's not one of the two that were picked up, because that would feel, or maybe
it does. I think it is the one that they brought out, because
there were two of them.
They were like,
but
we have a black and a tricolor.
Yeah, but they brought two. But why are they not together then?
Oh,
why are they not in the same place?
Right, like it's.
I mean, they don't have to be, but it feels.
Also,
yeah.
But also, why did it not get taken back to its cage?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if it was taken out for a purpose, okay, cool. But if it's still here, that means it either got away from the people that were managing it,
or it's just left out here. They don't care about it.
Yeah, it's still on its mission, basically.
Again, I think that's more for your theory specifically.
Yeah.
I think that regardless of whether it's your theory that it's to execute a bunch of kids or something like that, or it's actually one of the kids or something, it's just out here. It's not being managed.
Right.
It doesn't matter. They don't care about what it does now.
Sure, because it's in a place that has been cut off from the rest of society. So now, run wild, do your thing. We know the kinds of stuff that this animal will do, and that's what we want.
And other than that, we don't care.
Sure, maybe we'll round it up later. You know,
maybe.
Or if it's something we're making from kids, we'll just make another. I don't know. This episode is crazy, and I feel like I have even more questions than I had before.
Yep.
And yeah.
But now we have a really cool way to bring back the impure cat or trickster cats in general back into the story.
Yep.
It's a really cool, exciting thing. Having the exposition that has been established rather early in the story keep coming back in its relevance consistently is probably one of my favorite things about the world building of this story, is that everything that we've been told thus far has this feeling of being eventually very relevant in specific contexts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But okay, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yes, if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.